the hidden signals that reveal when a man is secretly waiting for you. Sometimes it's not about what he says, but what he doesn't say. It's not in his words, but in the quiet pauses, the way he looks at you, or how he always seems to show up at the right moment. People often mistake silence for indifference, but in reality, it can be a language of its own. When someone is secretly waiting for you, their actions whisper the truth their words can't admit. When a man is secretly waiting for you, his presence doesn't come in the form of grand gestures or constant communication, but in the consistency of his quiet actions. He doesn't chase or demand your attention because he understands that true connection doesn't need to be forced. Instead, he stays connected in ways that feel natural, subtle, and genuine. He may not send a message every day, but when he does, it feels intentional. He checks in not because he's trying to keep you interested, but because you naturally cross his mind. Maybe he reacts to something you post. Maybe he sends a small text that seems casual on the surface. Or maybe he just happens to appear at the right moment when you need a familiar presence. These aren't coincidences. They're the ways he reminds you he's still there, without overstepping the line between connection and intrusion. He knows you need space, but he also doesn't want you to forget that his door is quietly open. There's a rhythm to his effort, a steady calm that says he's not going anywhere, but he's also not going to pressure you. He's patient in a way that few people are, giving you the freedom to move forward while keeping the bond alive in the background. His communication might seem light, but it carries depth. Every word, every emoji, every message feels like a way to maintain that thread between you, even when you're apart. He doesn't use his words to win you back. He uses them to show that he still values you as a person. You can feel it in the tone. There's no bitterness, no resentment, just quiet respect. He remembers how you prefer to communicate. He listens even when you're not saying much, and he responds in ways that make you feel seen without feeling obligated. His consistency doesn't come from fear of losing you. It comes from understanding that genuine connection doesn't fade overnight. There's an emotional steadiness in how he shows up, not as someone who's waiting in desperation, but as someone who believes that timing matters. He's not there to interfere with your growth, but to be a reminder of something that once felt real, something that still quietly exists beneath the surface. Even in silence, his energy lingers. He might not always reach out, but when you do, he's there instantly, as if no time has passed. That's the kind of connection that doesn't need constant validation because it's built on mutual understanding. He might watch your stories, leave a subtle like, or remember to ask about something small you mentioned weeks ago. It's in those little things that his waiting becomes visible. It's not loud, it's not obvious, but it's real. His effort isn't about seeking reassurance or keeping tabs on you. It's about staying connected to something that still matters to him. He knows that pushing too hard could make you pull away, so he chooses patience instead. In his own quiet way, he's telling you that he hasn't moved on completely, that he's still there in the background, steady, calm, and waiting for the moment when things might fall into place again. There's something almost unexplainable about timing when it comes to someone who's secretly waiting for you. It feels like coincidence, but it's not. It's that strange moment when he reaches out just when you've started to think about him again, when you're sitting in silence and suddenly his name appears on your screen, or when you've decided to finally let go and he shows up in a way that makes you question if you ever really could. That kind of timing doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of an emotional connection that still exists beneath the surface, an unseen thread that ties two people together even when they've chosen different paths. He feels when your energy shifts, when your thoughts drift his way, and something inside him responds. Maybe it's intuition, maybe it's memory, maybe it's just the power of connection that never fully faded. Whatever it is, he seems to show up exactly when you need a reminder that some connections don't disappear, they just go quiet for a while. He might not even understand it himself. He might not plan to message you or run into you, but somehow he does. It's as if his mind and heart recognize when you're emotionally open again, when the wall you built around your heart starts to loosen, just a bit. He appears in small but meaningful ways, enough to make you pause and wonder if it's really just timing or something deeper. You might think it's coincidence, but deep down, there's a rhythm between you that still beats in sync. He's waiting, but not in a desperate way. He's not sitting there counting days or hoping for you to reach out. Instead, he moves with patience, trusting that if the connection is real, it will guide him back to you at the right moment. His sense of timing isn't luck, it's awareness. It's him knowing you well enough to sense when you might need him, when you might be open to hearing from him again, when silence has done its job and it's time to gently reappear. Sometimes his timing feels too perfect because it mirrors what you're secretly feeling. You think of him, and suddenly he's there. You remember a memory, and he posts something that connects to it. You feel his absence, and suddenly he sends a message that feels like he never left. It's not about games or manipulation. It's about connection and intuition. People who share a strong emotional bond can feel each other's energy even from a distance. He might not know that he's waiting, but his actions tell the truth. He's not ready to close that door because part of him still believes that timing could bring you both together again. So he follows those instincts, those quiet nudges that tell him when to show up, when to reach out, when to remind you that he still exists in your world. He's waiting in silence, but his presence is always felt through the moments that never seem random, through the timing that always feels like something more than chance, through the way he keeps finding his way back into your life exactly when you start to forget how much you missed him. When someone is secretly waiting for you, the most revealing sign often isn't in what they say or do openly, but in what they remember. The small things, the details that most people forget, somehow stay alive in their mind. He remembers your favorite song, the way you like your coffee, the story that made you laugh so hard you couldn't breathe, and even the moments that seemed insignificant to you at the time. Those little fragments of memory become the quiet proof that you left an imprint deeper than either of you expected. He holds on to those details not because he's trying to impress you or use them to win you back, but because they've become part of how he sees you. They're connected to emotions he hasn't been able to replace, to moments that felt real and alive. When he brings up something you said months ago or remembers something you mentioned once in passing, it's his way of showing that those moments still matter to him, even when he pretends they don't. It's not about nostalgia or holding on to the past, it's about emotional memory, the kind that lingers long after the conversations stop. He might reference something small that you don't even remember saying, and it catches you off guard. You realize that while you were trying to move forward, he was quietly holding on to the essence of what made your connection unique. That's how people show they're waiting, not by saying it out loud, but by keeping the memory of you alive in the smallest details of their everyday life. Maybe he still listens to that song you shared once. Maybe he still visits that place you went together, or maybe certain things still remind him of you when he least expects it. Those reminders aren't planned, they're instinctive. They appear because his heart hasn't let go, even if his words suggest otherwise. When he talks to you, you can sense it too. The way he references something from long ago, the ease with which he recalls the things that made you happy, it's not forced. It's natural because he never stopped paying attention. He may not tell you he misses you, but his memory does. It keeps bringing you up in his conversations, in his thoughts, in quiet moments when he's alone. You might not be part of his daily routine anymore, but you still live in the corners of his mind where the most meaningful memories stay. That's why when you reconnect, it doesn't feel like starting over. It feels like continuing a story that's been paused, not erased. His ability to remember those small details isn't just a sign of care, it's a reflection of emotional investment. It shows that even in your absence, he's still emotionally present. And that's the quiet power of someone who's waiting for you. They don't hold on to you with words or promises. They hold on to you with memory, keeping you close in the ways no one else can see through the tiny moments that still live vividly in his heart and mind long after the world thinks he's moved on. When a man is secretly waiting for you, it often shows in the way he handles new relationships, or rather, in how he avoids them. He might tell his friends he's just not ready to date again, or that he's focusing on himself, but deep down, there's more to it than that. It's not that he can't find someone new, it's that no one feels quite right. No one sparks that same connection, that same level of comfort and understanding he once had with you. So he stays single longer than expected, not out of bitterness or heartbreak, but because his heart is quietly comparing everyone he meets to you. Every new person reminds him of what's missing, the tone of your voice, the way you laughed, the ease you brought into his life without even trying. He might go on dates, but they never seem to go anywhere. Something always feels off, not because there's anything wrong with them, but because in his mind, they're standing in the shadow of someone he hasn't let go of. He tells himself he's moving forward, that he's open to new beginnings, but every time a relationship starts to form, he pulls back. It's almost like an invisible wall goes up, one that he can't fully explain. He tells others that the timing isn't right, or that he's not in the right mindset for commitment, but what he really means is that he's still emotionally anchored to you. That piece of his heart that belonged to your connection hasn't found a place to rest elsewhere. When he meets someone new, he might notice the similarities, the way she phrases something, the way she reacts, and it triggers memories of you. And no matter how hard he tries to ignore it, those memories carry more weight than the present moment. It's not intentional, but his actions betray the truth. He's not waiting because he's stuck. He's waiting because a part of him still hopes that time will bring clarity, that somehow the story between you isn't over, just paused. People around him might not notice it, but you would if you saw him. The way his eyes drift when relationships are mentioned, the way he avoids talking about new connections, the slight hesitation when someone asks if he's over you. He tries to appear unaffected, but it's there in his tone, in his body language, in the quiet moments when he seems lost in thought. He might still check your profile, wondering if you're seeing someone not out of jealousy, but curiosity, a small part of him still holding on to the possibility that you're on the same emotional wavelength he is. He carries himself as if he's moved on, but his decisions tell another story. The hesitation to commit, the disinterest in starting fresh, the constant measuring of others against a standard only you set, all of it speaks to a heart that hasn't fully let go. He's waiting, not because he has to, but because a part of him still believes that the connection he felt with you isn't something easily replaced. And until he knows for sure that it's truly over, he'll keep his heart guarded, holding space for what once felt real. When someone secretly waits for you, they often act as though they've moved on, but their actions quietly tell another story. He'll say he's fine, that he's accepted things for what they are, but the truth slips out in the little ways he still shows up for you. Maybe he checks in when you're going through something. Maybe he reaches out just to make sure you're okay, or maybe he still finds reasons to cross paths with you even when there's no real reason to. It's not obvious or loud, but it's steady. His words might sound like closure, but his behavior speaks of connection. When you see him, there's still a softness in his eyes, a familiar tone in his voice that feels unchanged. It's like he's trying to convince both himself and the world that he's moved forward, yet every small act of care reveals that he hasn't completely detached from you. He might act indifferent, but deep down, he still notices the small changes in your life, the new things you share, the emotions you try to hide. He reads between your words, and even when he doesn't say much, his presence carries the weight of everything left unsaid. It's in those moments when he seems to appear out of nowhere, when you need someone the most but didn't ask for it. He'll offer help without making it feel like pity. He'll send a message that hits exactly where it needs to, or he'll remind you of a time when things were simpler between you both. He does it without expecting anything back, but his timing and care make it impossible to ignore that his heart is still involved. Even if he's seeing someone new, there's an unspoken difference in the way he treats you, like you still hold a part of him that no one else can touch. He'll maintain boundaries to respect your space, but his energy remains open, always available if you ever decide to reach out. And that's what makes it so complicated. He doesn't fight for you openly, but he doesn't let go either. He lives in that space between letting go and holding on, quietly carrying hope that someday the timing might align again. When people ask him about you, he might shrug it off, say, it's all in the past, but his tone gives him away. There's still emotion there, still that familiar hesitation before he changes the subject. He might avoid your name like it doesn't matter, yet his body language tells the truth every time you come up. He's careful, measured, and calm, but you can feel that he's still tethered to you in some invisible way. It's not about obsession or regret. It's about emotional attachment that never fully faded. He's accepted that life has moved forward, but part of him remains anchored to what you both shared. That's why, even in silence, his presence still lingers. You feel it in random moments, when his memory shows up out of nowhere, when something reminds you of him, and it's almost as if he's thinking of you too. His waiting isn't loud or desperate, it's quiet and constant, the kind that stays hidden behind everyday conversations and polite smiles, showing itself only through the consistency of care that never really stopped.